As you can imagine, we get a lot of phone calls from people that have issues with their builds that we didn't do, where they didn't necessarily make the right decisions on the truck components. One of the very common denominators in these situations is us asking the question if it was a drop bracket truck. Stay away from drop brackets. Now, if you do have a drop bracket lift kit, we recommend doing a solid axle swap. This truck behind me here was that exact scenario. Our friend Brock had a drop bracket kit on his truck. He likes off-roading, but he knew that the drop bracket just wasn't right for him. It had a bunch of failures, it had all sorts of issues with it, and it just didn't drive properly whatsoever, and it really didn't perform off-road at the magnitude that he wanted it to perform at. So solid axle swap is what we did, and we also always address the rear end. So we're gonna go through what it costs to solid axle swap a Tacoma. This is a first gen. This also applies to a third gen 4Runner. Almost all of it applies to a third gen 4Runner for this particular solid axle swap build.
I got meat in my teeth. I got meat teeth.
So we'll start on the front end. This is a trail gear solid axle swap kit. It's considered the low range off-road SAS C kit. It is a 3-link, and you're looking at a lot of parts on this kit, and there is a lot of labor. It is 40 hours of labor to do this front end. Just the solid axle swap kit is about $7,500. And then there's a lot of extras that go into it, like the locking hubs, stud kit, metal spindles, wheel studs, lug nuts, steering stop kit, a performance radiator in this case, and of course you've got freight at about 500 bucks, firewall seal for the steering shaft, and then you have to address your front drive shaft as well. In this case, we did the Trail Gear heavy duty front driveline kit, and then we sent it to Colorado Drive Shaft to get retubed and balanced. The front end on this, with labor, parts, and everything, came out to a total with tax of $20,727.32.
How dare you!
One of the cool things on the front end here that's unlike a lot of builds, if you're into the rock crawling scene, you've seen this before, but if you're not, or you're just getting into this, you probably haven't seen air shocks. This kit from Trail Gear is designed around these Fox 2.0 air shocks. They're not a coilover. There is a spring on the inside, but these are designed for a solid axle swap to take the load off when you're stretched out. It's really unique. They feel awesome. 14 inches of travel on the front end, and it's packaged together really nicely for this kit. Install's really smooth, and the geometry is great. So if you are looking at solid axle swapping a third gen 4Runner, if you're looking at solid axle swapping a first gen Tacoma, this Trail Gear kit is awesome. It's not gonna break the bank. Of course, if you get hardcore into rock crawling, there are a lot of kits out there that are a lot more expensive, and you kind of get what you pay for in this industry, right? Trail Gear does a really good job of satisfying that mix between something that's really functional and built well at a really great price. If you wanted to go up to 1 tons, you're adding a lot of cost, you're doing a lot more custom work, but this kit is packaged together to make it a lot easier to install off the shelf, saves you money on parts, and it's beautiful. One of the things that you have to consider, not just gear ratio wise, but suspension wise, is the rear end of the truck. This does come with 529s, and Trail Gear has them already set up, so you have to match the rear diff with 529s as well. In this case, we did that too. So the rear end for 529s, we put some Yukons in there, and you're total out the door with your ring and pinion, your new bearings, and your installation is $1,300 to re-gear the rear.
What kind of instruments can you play? You want to be in the meat teeth or not? I haven't figured out what kind of music we want to play. It depends on the instruments.
The other consideration that you want to think about for the rear end is trying to do your best to match the amount of travel that's in the front with the rear, and also ride height. Your ride height's going to be a lot higher on a solid axle swap than just a stock truck, and the rear end in this case is on leafs, okay? If you're not on leafs, then you're not going to be able to do quite the same inboard shock relocate that we did on this truck. But in this case, because the leafs add stability, we were able to do an inboard shock relocate, and it looks kind of funny because these are narrow, right? They're set up really narrow, but again, because of the leafs, we're able to get away with this, get more travel out of the rear, set the ride height up in a more appropriate way for this build. And Kyler did a great job fabbing this up. We basically just built a new cross tube into the frame and put these Fox smooth body shocks in the rear. And the work to do this we're looking at about 12 hours of custom fab work. And then these 2.0 smoothies from Fox, it's a 12-inch travel shock. They're about $330 each. And with tax and everything out the door, the rear end, you are looking at about $2,600 to fix the suspension to help that match the front.
Oh boy.
We've done a few of these trail gear solid axle swaps on 3rd Gen 4Runners and 1st Gen Tacomas. It's a great kit. This one in particular, though, is near and dear to my heart because it's for a good friend named Brock Erickson. I want to interview him a little bit and see how he chose to do a solid axle swap from this drop bracket kit that he had and what his experiences were like coming to Mountain Yotas to get this done. All right, guys, this is Brock. This is who I just told you about. This is the very first time he's driving his truck since we did a solid axle swap. So we're gonna get first impressions in real time.
Oh my God, the ride is like night and day just from the 100 feet we've gone.
Wait till you go wheeling, bud.
I am so excited. New gears, all new front end. This is amazing. Oh my gosh. Couldn't be happier. These guys do amazing work.
Heck yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
When you had a drop bracket before,
Yes.
what was the biggest decision that made you want to do a solid axle swap on this and switch over?
I kept breaking things every time I went out, and it got to the point that the upper strut brackets were completely shot. Ball joint, CVs, everything, and I was tired of replacing all of it. I couldn't go out and play with it.
Now, full disclosure, like I said, we're buddies. We've actually known each other since 5th grade. But the funny thing is he didn't know, and I didn't know that he called us. But I answered the phone, and he didn't know that I was at Mountain Yotas or anything. So he reached out to us initially, but just worked out like that, and it's pretty cool to reconnect.
Yeah.
But dude, I appreciate you choosing us. Brock's gonna be in YouTube videos coming up for sure because we're going wheeling together.
Yes.
100%. We got a Moab trip in April that I hope you can make.
I think I can.
Heck yeah, dude. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Later. Thanks again, Brock. We appreciate you coming here and trusting us to handle this solid axle swap for you. Guys, keep in mind, if you're thinking about doing a solid axle swap on any Toyota truck, we can pull it off for you. We'll do it the right way, and we'll treat you the right way throughout the whole process. Get a quote, check it out. We'll talk you through everything. And don't forget that you're going to have to address the rear end. It adds a little bit of cost, but the grand total on this build, out the door, gears, driveline, all of that fun stuff, you're at $24,689 to do a solid axle swap and make sure that the rear is appropriate for that build too. Hey, while you're here, why don't you subscribe? We have a whole bunch of Toyota mod videos, and we're only doing more and more, so please stick around. If you like this, give us a like, and if you need anything in the Toyota mod world, hit us up, info@mountainyotas.com or @MTN Yotas on Instagram. Peace.